What's going on, y'all? Another week, another geek. We're back at it with another episode of the Why I'm Geek Show, episode 178. Chris is already acting like last year was not a fluke, bruh. I had to put my jersey on. I finally feel like it's time
It's
to get
time.
back into a little bit of football. But before we do that, bro, how you feeling today, Brody?
Real good, man. Real excited for this pod, this movie.
Yes, sir.
But more importantly, it's a new season starting tomorrow. Tomorrow night, everything's going down. So, I had to get the jersey out ready to go. And can't wait to see what all the teams do. But how you doing, G?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I had a real productive day. I beat God of War Ragnarok, you know what I'm saying? Like, I beat all the bosses, now I'm on Valhalla. So, like, I'm starting to get all those videos out and going. So I'm super excited about that. But the main thing I'm excited about is because we're about to talk about Sinners, probably my most anticipated movie of the year. Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld, or Haley Steinfeld Allen. I don't know what they doing yet. But I'm excited to talk about this thing today. Chris, just to start off, bro, what's the chatter? What's the chatter that you hear about Sinners, bro? What's like how have you experienced the aura of this movie before we just dive right into it?
I mean, there was a big push on social media that y'all gotta go see it because I'm ready to spoil it. Like I saw a lot of things of, hey y'all, we're gonna be spoiling this movie soon. So I kind of had to like lock up some stuff. And we always were planning on seeing this movie this weekend, and stuff got busy, and I was like, yo, I don't think I can survive on the internet any longer because people just kept coming out. And it just kind of seemed like one of those movies that maybe people were turned off at first or was kind of like, I'm probably not going to go see that. And then the initial wave of moviegoers from Thursday to Friday were like, yo, I ain't going to lie. You might have to go see that. And it kind of just started leaking out to everybody. And now it just seems like, especially after I've seen the movie, I get so many posts, so many people trying to dissect certain things or what they thought about. So the chatter is exactly what makes movies really special. And part of the reason why I can't wait to talk about this on the pod. Did you get any buzz about it beforehand, or did you see any spoilers? Did you get spoiled at all?
I didn't get spoiled at all. No.
Nice.
But it was all up and down my timeline. Every suggested video, like I couldn't scroll too many times before somebody was either interviewing or having a conversation with or talking about it or whatever. Like even some of my favorite podcasts that I listen to on a regular, like Higher Learning, they had like 2 episodes back to back where they talking about the movie. I was like, I can't even watch it, can't even listen, I need that for my cardio. What am I do now? All I got is Marvel Snap. But like the buzz was buzzing, from people inside like the film TV community, and then from people outside of it too. Ryan Coogler has just not really missed, for the most part. He's had his hands in a whole bunch of different things as well that are just like a part of the culture, and it just felt like, oh man, this is going to be one of them ones when it was time to go see it. And as far as like movie breakdowns or like any detractors, I think for the most part, because like what I got told the movie was going to be about before we saw a trailer or anything was different than what the actual movie was for me. And it got pitched to me, not pitched like, oh AJ, we're about to make this movie, but like
big ballin'.
But it was like they was saying like, yeah, like he's gonna make a vampire like Blade type movie. So it's like, oh, since they want to keep playing with Blade, Ryan Coogler's about to make his own type situation. And that's not really what it was, but I was excited either way. And then I think the name, like of it being called Sinners, like throws people off too. Like just because for the simple fact of what it is, but it's like vampires, so it's kind of different, you know. But at the same time, it's like there's elements of everything in this movie, and it's just a lot to unpack, and it's like we was talking about pre-pod. I was on my walk, and I was, you know, doing some cardio outside, trying to dodge the pollen, and I made a video. I was like, man, after seeing the movie, this is like right after I saw it, because I like, the goal for me is always to see it like right before the pod and then marinate on it on my walks for like cardio, and then come to the pod later on that night. And I was just thinking about like all the different things that we're gonna end up talking about today. I'm just like, bro, I don't know if I can just make one video, because there's just so many things, from like even how the movie was made, and everything that went in behind it, and all the little Easter eggs, and the actors and their stories, and how they got pitched this and stuff like that. And it's like so many things I wanted to watch, but I just couldn't because I didn't see the movie yet. You know, so going into
And
this, I
I
was
kind of
hyped.
feel like I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I'm fully equipped to unpack everything on this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it did seem like they heavily storyboarded a lot of stuff and a lot of like common themes that we've
Hmm.
heard before. But like when I was watching it, I was really like, dang, this is a lot of stuff that I definitely will have missed and would need like additional background info for sure.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, like we're gonna have to really do our homework, because we
Yeah,
could talk
I ain't gonna
about
lie.
the movie.
Yeah,
That's not the hard thing to do, but it's just trying to connect all the different nuances and like little things that they had in there. It's
yeah.
probably gonna make it like even more crazy, so
Yeah, it
like,
could put us down a big rabbit hole, but
hmm,
well, we'll try on this pod. We're gonna try.
yeah, we're gonna do our best. Um but I guess where we can start is the beginning, which is kind of a cool thing because they started at the end. The boy Sammy was down bad, bro. He survived a crazy night, walked up into the church, and boom, we get the movie. So like, how did you feel about the setting, or the tone setting of that moment? Uh, just knowing what you knew, because I don't know. Did you watch any of the trailers or anything?
I watched like the initial trailer that would
Okay.
come out in the movie theaters. I didn't
Hmm.
see the trailers like leading up to like a week in advance or 2 weeks in advance because they
Yeah,
started
same.
updating it more and more.
Hmm.
Uh, maybe to try to get to people more involved with the movie to go. But
Yeah.
no, one of these openings is openings I do like in movies. Because then you kind of get to put together like how do we get to this spot.
Hmm.
And I do like the fact that we start with that scene early in the morning. He walks through the church, and we don't really know what sinners means yet.
Yeah.
Um, but right after that, we shortly get like a day earlier. So we're like, dang, all this
Yeah.
is gonna go down today. Like ain't
Right.
nothing,
No build
ain't
up.
nothing. Yeah, no build up. All this craziness is gonna happen today, and I do like when movies like
Yeah.
encapsulate themselves because stuff's gotta pop off. We gotta get rolling.
Hmm.
There's no interpretation of maybe this happened a different day or some confusion. It's like, the main character is in a rough spot.
Yeah.
How did he get there? Because now we in the day and everything looking pretty good. Like he
Hmm.
relaxing. So I like it when movies do it. But how'd you feel about the opening scene?
Yeah, I was surprised just like how, for one, Sammy was the main character, really. If we
Yeah,
really keep it a
Sammy.
buck, so like I was expecting like first thing we see was gonna be Michael B. Jordan, but it was like, nah, like we gotta wait. So to open it up with like having that moment in the church, I'm thinking like, oh dang, like this is old, this is back in the day too.
Yeah.
So it's like, everybody got their church, their Sunday's best on, and they just like in shock and scared of what is walking through that door. And I'm like, yo, no way. I'm thinking, is this man already a vampire? Like, what's going on? He got scratched up. Like, I'm thinking, like, combining, like, all of the monster scary things that I could think of. Yeah, because I don't know why. Because I don't really watch stuff like this. Like I'm not a big vampire kind of guy or like a werewolf. Never watched Twilight. Only vampire I'm really worried about is Blade. That's it. You know, so going into it, I still was like just more so curious of like, you know, what is actually going on, and then as we get to find out this is gonna be like a foreshadowing moment or whatever, I was like, okay, I'm locked. Because how do we get here? You know, like you said. And after that, I feel like they did a really good job of just, you know, creating a feeling of like not only just a time period, but the location and what's going on, and giving us a little bits of nuggets about the main character and what he cares about and stuff like that. This man Sammy literally woke up before everybody did his share of the sharecropping. They was out there picking cotton, and then he was like, "All right, time to go get my guitar. I got somewhere to go." You know, so it's like obviously there's the common tropes of musicians like playing secular music and wanting to be quote unquote in the world, and being a preacher's boy, because that's what they called him in this joint too. Being a preacher's boy was like a age-old story that we've seen in a multitude of different movies and stuff like that. So once that became apparent to me, my focus kind of shifted from more so like, okay, who's Sammy going to be, and more so like, okay, what's the real, like, you know, deal, I guess. I'm like, what is this movie really going to be about? You know, so that's when we get, you know, introduced to the twins, and then boom, that's when things start getting fun, because not only did they make a business transaction, but they also let us know that they ain't nobody to play with at the same time. So, what was your first impression of the twins, Chris? AKA Shaq. I said Shaq.
Shaq.
Smoke and Stack.
Yeah. No, I really love Michael B. Jordan did amazing in this movie.
Yeah.
Really, I thought they were the main character the whole time. I didn't know they were two characters. I did not catch that from the trailer. So I was sitting there like, yo, is that him two times? I was like, dang, that's cool. And
Yeah.
I
It's
just
crispy
love
now. It's so crispy.
Yeah, I
now.
loved how they introduced them, how their whole mysterious background of how the town kind of knows them. They're back after 7 years, and they're trying to do this business deal. They're
Oh, we back.
We
I
back?
looked away. Yeah, I looked away.
Hey.
I was listening. Yeah, go ahead.
They're pretty much gangsters, but then we kind of get revealed they were gangsters in Chicago working for Al Capone.
Yeah. That's a crazy pool right there. That's a crazy pool.
What? They say that.
I know. I'm saying like the fact that they was working for Al Capone.
Yeah, like all that lore was real cool.
Like,
it's kind of like, who are like they're already kind of mysterious buying this place. And like you said, we're get introduced to Sammy first, and all we know is that he's like a preacher boy that lives in Louisiana during Jim Crow. And now we're at these gangsters that got money, they got suits, they got wheels, they got tires, you know, like they smoking. Like I was like, what's happening? And that this is where like more of the plot is like, what is going on? They're buying this place. They are apparently like notorious around these parts. Are they good? It seems like people like them. It seems like, it's just such a good introduction because they're mysterious. I want to learn more, and then it's the same freaking actor 2
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. That is
And
crazy.
as it goes on and you see them interact with each other, like, it's so unreal how the same guy can be on the screen, and just the subtle differences make it feel like, yo, these are actually twins. Like,
Yeah.
they look
Shout out
alike, but they're
Percy
not.
Bell. Shout out Percy Bell, the stunt double or the body double that helped them pull this off. Like, I can't wait till like they drop more like documentaries and stuff on like how they got these certain shots, you know? Because like you were saying, bro, like them interacting with each other, I feel like is not something that we see a lot when it comes to like twins. Like I was about to shoot at Star Wars again, but like that whole twin situation, like where it's like, oh, they're identical, now they're not. Like, what are we doing? But like when they interact with each other, it's like when they say, all right, I love you, and then you get both versions, and it's like, I love you too, or whatever, and they talking about, I'm like, yo, how did they record this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy.
And it just adds to kind of like what you said. The fun really starts when they appear on the screen. It's so hard to talk about they because it's the same person.
Yeah.
But once they arrive, like, so much more of this story like opens up, and the more intrigue of like, all right, what are we doing? Are they good? Are they bad?
Yeah.
How are they involved with Sammy? Like, all these questions just immediately start coming up.
Because
and it's just such a great introduction to characters. And before I let you go, the look. The fact that it's kind of like one is in the blue and one is in the red is just so like icing on the cake. Like it's just such a good direction.
It forms their personalities. And because Smoke is more like he's hot headed, but like he's like more stoic in a sense.
It's more stoic.
And you know,
Stack is more slick talking and
hot headed a little bit,
like hot headed a little bit.
Yeah,
not like, he's not as like wild normally when they talk about hotheads, but like,
that's maybe hothead is not the right word, but it's like
it's weird.
He's just like
devious.
He wants to. I mean, a little bit. He's like slick talk, you know, like extrovert. I guess it would be the better word for that. And after they get introduced, then we get to find out like, oh, they that's their big cut. Like Sammy's their little cousin, and they all related. And it's like, all right, now we got this, you know, the shack. We about to set up a little juke joint.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, okay, I could see that. Okay, and
making moves.
Yeah, like they try and put youngins on game at the same time. Like, you know, all the stuff that they learned while they was in Chicago. And what's crazy about this movie is like, usually when, you know, movies do a lot of telling and not showing, it's hard for me to kind of believe it, you know. But I think they did a good job. That's what I was saying earlier, in the writing and stuff like that, with having a crazy pull, like putting Al Capone as like their connection to Chicago. Like, they do a good job of making the connections very strong, so that like you have like maybe not a visceral reaction, but you have a reaction to each scenario, and you can actually like start to put the puzzle together while you're watching. So like when they do something, like take for instance, when the little girl was washing the car, and then you had two youngins starting to peek around and into the truck and see what they got, you know, they got punished for it. But once you find out like, oh, this is all the stuff that they got going on, and then find out, dang, they even know the person that's trying to do this, you know, like, I was like, dang, it's like Red Dead, like, you know, like, like this is a different. This is like not only a different time, but like it makes what they're doing that much more believable and separates the characters that much more. And it's hard to do that when, like you're saying earlier, the same person is playing them. So it's like, that's like master craft, like as far as like character development and character design and stuff like that, as far as like how we're going to integrate these people. And it's not just like Michael B. Jordan. This goes for like almost every character that's like plays a pivotal role in this joint. So, you know, I think this joint is so cool because it's like you got this little community trying to do this big thing, one big night, you know?
Yep.
And we get introduced to the Childs. You get introduced to Mary, who was played by Haley Steinfeld, and you get introduced to Delta Slim, you know, and it's like all these creative characters. They all got like kind of tropes, I guess. To it's like, oh, you've seen this person before, or like, you know, you've seen this scenario. Like nothing in this movie felt foreign, you know, outside of just like not being from that time period. You know what I'm saying? Like little things they say here and there. It's like, oh, that's way back, you know. But I think like as far as like tone setter and a setup for what's about to happen, I think they did like. The joint was like, okay, we got something here. We got something here. But for me, where things started going left, I was like, all right, now we're getting spooky. Was I don't remember which one happened first. Did they do both introductions of Smoke and Stack first? Where they went to the where Smoke went to his old lady's shop. And they visited the grave and stuff like that, and then they introduced the bad guys. Which one happened first? I don't remember.
I kind of feel like it might be around the same time.
Yeah,
around the time they split up. I think they went to the what was his name? Remick.
Yeah. Yep.
Is it Remick?
Yeah. Remick.
Yeah. They showed him up here at the KKK's house. Being chased by
Native Americans.
Was it the Native Americans? Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it's around that time.
It's around the same time. So I'll just talk about like the introduction of what's her name? Now I can't see it. Is it Beatrice? I think it's Beatrice.
No,
it's not Beatrice. It's not Beatrice. What was her name?
Who you talking about?
Smokes.
Oh, Annie. Yeah.
Annie. Dang, she all the way down here. The IRVD John got the list all over the place. They got these small pictures. But yeah, we get introduced to Annie, and she is essentially the candy lady, right? But she's offering like all these different, you know, buy you like, I don't know. I don't even know what you would call it.
Yeah, she's like a root
a
magic.
Yeah,
because we probably would refer to it as voodoo, but I think they refer to it as like root magic. But pretty much like she does. I don't want to say magic.
Yeah.
She does like spiritual energy based on like from the land and from.
That's where it get tricky. That's where the movie get tricky, you know.
Yeah.
But we find out that they have a former connection as well, where it's like they almost had a baby together, and it's like, dang, what happened to that, you know? So it's like they added to the grave in there. That's where he went first, and you thinking like, oh, this is his daddy grave, because we also found out that, you know, Smoke was the one that killed his daddy because he was beating on Stack. And I'm just like, yo, there's so much lore that's happening here.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of details. It doesn't quite go like that because the way that's revealed is all over the place. Like, because we don't even know that they even have like a child together, like that.
Yeah, that's like what I'm saying. Like,
hit. Yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking that like that was his daddy grave
Yeah,
because we didn't find out what happened until later.
yeah,
But I'm saying like
way later.
they talked about it though. So that's what I'm saying. Like they drip feeding us all this content, and it's like that's why I said earlier it's a lot to unpack because it's like I mean you're gonna have everybody say you gotta see the joint more than once. You know, I gotta see it on IMAX next, but uh, you know after that, it's like okay now I feel like the table is set. Enter the bad guys, vampires. Um, Remick. Remick. How do you feel about his like first interactions? That man was smoking, like literally body smoking. Was
I
getting
mean,
close to nighttime, and they let him in the door.
I think this is the part where I said maybe I'm not fully equipped to handle this type of movie, but
Mm-hmm.
I really like the imagery. I really like the meaning of it. I like the idea that he's running away from Native Americans who kind of know what kind of danger he presents, potentially
Mm-hmm.
know what exactly he is. And then he runs to the KK, a house that holds the KKK or KKK members,
Yeah.
and they let him in, and it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like them being racist. They let in someone that looked like them,
Yeah.
and are wary of everyone else. But it's kind of like you let a wolf into your house. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Wolf in the hen house. Yep.
Yeah, and it was exactly that scenario where even though the Native Americans came in and said, "Hey,
Yeah.
I don't know if you really know who you let in, but it's a dangerous person." It's like the guy's
Mm-hmm.
burning, he's alone, and they just kind of ignore that. They
Yeah.
ignore all any red flags, or they're not suspicious of him, but they're suspicious of
Mm-hmm.
everyone else.
Well, they did
Um,
have the blick up. They had the blick up at first, but they eventually let him in.
yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of it kind of goes to show, like, even back then, like, you
Yeah.
could see who would be considered suspicious and not suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but him burning all that type of stuff.
Red
Uh,
eyes is what got me.
I was wondering because just to spin off real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Was he the only one with red eyes?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
I was pretty positive he was the only one with red eyes, but
Yeah.
um,
I was thinking about that too. Everybody else's eyes was like yellow, like whitish.
yeah,
And sometimes they turn even a little purple, depending on how the light hit it.
yeah. But
Weird.
I think it's a really interesting introduction because it's just kind of like a little bit of it's a white dude. I'm gonna trust him no matter what, and then everyone else, I'll mess with y'all. Like, if they even said like, are you sure it wasn't them black people? I was like, yo, what? Like,
Mm.
what? I was like, the KKK just wilding. And what's really good about this movie too is them being like them just showing the clan suit in the back. It's
Yeah.
kind of like we already know they're in like the Jim Crow era and in Louisiana, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like they're prevalent in the area anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ain't no hiding it.
yeah, it's kind of
In
like a
plain sight kind of thing.
outside or over like a shadow in the area that the KKK could be a
Mm-hmm.
factor in this movie, which is
Yeah.
just really really interesting.
Yeah. Even in the town, like I didn't notice it at first, but it was segregated as far as like there
Exactly.
was a white side and there was a black side, and Childs had a store on both sides,
Mhm.
and you know the shots went down, but nobody really scattered either.
Mhm.
So it's just like it's just a normal day of justice, you
Yep.
know. Um. So yeah, I think that says something too. Um. Okay. So yeah, I that first indication of what the vampire was going to look like and stuff like that for me was like a little spooky, but not enough to where I'm like, okay, I think I'm actually going to be scared of this movie, which was a real thing going into. I'm like, man, do I need to tell this person beside me that I might be jumping when
Yeah,
there's
I didn't
something
know
going on?
it was a full on vampire movie though.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
only up till then, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. Like I was like, oh, that's different.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I had the whole thing of like, oh yeah, it's gonna be Blade, and I was like, oh, not Blade. You know, that's what my brain.
Yeah.
That's what my brain was at. So I was like, I was still trying to process that. But yeah, once that scene happened, sun go down. That's when the party starts, and literally it goes off with a bang, bro. They burn the house down. My favorite part of the movie, 100%. There was so much culture, like so much, like just the explanation of like what music can really do when it's like come from the soul, and it's like from like where it can you know basically time travel to the past, present, and future.
Sure.
Like of like these people are not literally there, but it's like you channeling something, you know.
Yeah.
And then that be the thing that Remick desires, and why he's after Sammy and after everybody in this place, because he could have went anywhere, but he was drawn there. So it was just like a moment where I was like, yo, okay, like this could really, I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, yo, this could really be something. If they do this every single night, they could really come up, you know. um and then the after they burn the house down, that's when we get our first real like, okay, this is the movie. They asked to be let in. I'm kind of skipping around, but they asked to be let in.
You jump a lot.
I just like where my brain is going, because it's like a lot of stuff that's happening that I'm not going to say is not important, but it's like I want to get to later. I just want to set the stage. Essentially, is what I'm trying to do here. They asked to be let in, and by they I mean the three other white people that was in the KKK or whatever, and the two white people that's in the KKK, and then Remick. And they bring their banjo, violin, and guitar, and it's like, y'all, we heard y'all, we want to join in. Everybody's like, nah. Cornbread was like, y'all in the wrong place. Shout out Cornbread. Y'all was in the wrong place. I think y'all need to go down somewhere else, and it would just make a big stink out of it. And then Mary in efforts to prove herself to Stack says, let me go talk to him, see if they really body, see if they really got bread. And you go out there and get bit, man. That's when it's like, okay, now go ahead. So I try my best to set the stage. I tried,
You're
yo.
going a lot. Yeah.
I tried. But where can we start with this, or go from here? I guess first things first would be Sammy. Let's just start with Sammy, right?
Okay.
Sammy finds the love of his life for a day, but she was also there when it was advertising in the I'm doing so jumping everywhere. All
right. So let's just
take over.
Pretty much for the first hour and 20 minutes, it's a pretty much large portion of the movie. We're just focused on Smoking Stack setting up a juke joint. Yeah. They bring Sammy along, who wants to be an aspiring I'm just gonna say musician, but he just wants to play the guitar. Mm-hmm. And he's the preacher boy, so his daddy don't bang with that at all. Yeah. And a kind of overarching theme of it is kind of like you keep like I can't remember the saying, but like if you keep messing with the devil's gonna show up one day or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like and that. One thing that's really amazing about this movie is like there's always like those sayings like dancing with the devil and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So especially at this juke joint, the opening night goes off with the smash. Everyone gets there. Sammy's performing. He uh,
burns the house down.
Yeah, he burns the house down.
Metaphorically and physically.
Yeah, metaphorically. I know they had an opening scene kind of explaining that how like music and especially certain people are born with the ability to like have music that transcends like pretty much ancestries and generations.
That's the time travel part. Yep.
Yeah. And pretty much Remick is drawn to it, attracted to that idea, which also brings the idea of like how people would say like music is like the devil's music. Or like music in general, even today, is like considered like
secular.
Yeah. And it shows kind of like how this like sinners, demons, devil, vampire all kind of intersect in this single story about like even freedom, because
yeah,
they weren't free down there either. All intersect in like a really cool way. But all that hour and 20 minutes lead up to this party where eventually Mary gets bit outside trying to talk to these white people, and she herself becomes a vampire.
Yeah.
And now the vampire assault on the juke joint begins, and Mary walks back in there.
No, she doesn't walk in there. She has to be let in.
Yeah, she has to be invited in. Normal vampire lore is vampires, whenever they enter buildings, they have to be invited in. Sometimes, I mean, I watched a lot of vampire stuff. Sometimes it has to be the owner of the house. Sometimes it's like, but in this one, it kind of seems like as long as you're invited, you're good.
Yeah.
But
you have a code.
But essentially, boom, she gets bit. These vampires turn quick. If you're bitten, you're pretty much like a zombie. You become a vampire within a few minutes.
And we don't really see it either. Like what's crazy.
One of my big gripes.
Yeah, it's like I wish we would have saw it, but there's also like different types of bites where it's like you get the ones where like cornbread that where he bit the one passed out dude that was, I think he was the one that was stealing or something like that. It's like super gore and super messy and stuff like that. But then you get the ones that's like Mary, who we don't see until it's already too late. We just already have to assume like, all right, she acting a little funny. You know, she acting a little funny. We know what's just about to happen. And it's just like, all right, now it's like, okay, how?
And to us, we don't really know like how it works yet. Yeah. It's just like Mary's definitely acting funny now, and we know that she just talked to a bunch of vampires that most likely bit her. But she gets invited back in, and the chaos ensues when everyone's still having a good time. Sammy's thinking about taking this show on the road. You know, like, I'm leaving this place.
Yep.
And unfortunately,
they have a real conversation about that. Him and Smoke have a real conversation. Like yo, I done seen this movie before.
Yeah. You like following your dreams and
like they don't have in this time period, you know, you can't just put a song out and everybody go get it, listen to it, whatever. It's like, nah, they have really hard lives, and it's like, I'm not finna be a part of you doing that. So this is your last night playing here, you know?
Yeah, and pretty much go be a preacher boy. That's a good life, all that type of stuff.
And he was like, you're gonna have to kill me if you want to do it. And then Smoke pull out the gun. I was like, yo, this is crazy. That's your cousin, bro. Like, what are we doing? And you know, all that's going down. It's like you got, you know, Mary comes back in. Her and Smoke is having her and Stack is having their moment. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, all right, it's time to go dance. Everybody doing the do or whatever. They got the special closet. And
get popping.
They getting it popping.
Yeah.
And then is everybody getting popped, you know? So one thing we haven't talked about yet, though, it's not a crazy jump, but This movie actually, to me, is pretty funny. They have the good comedic timing. You know, not every joke is gonna laugh you out of your seat, but it's like good delivery, good jokes, and you know, especially when the panic sets in. But we haven't really talked about that aspect of the movie too, where I wouldn't go as far to call it a comedy, but this joint is pretty funny. It's pretty humorous at the same time. But do we jump right into, you know, Stack getting bit, or like what do we want to do here? You know?
Yeah, I'm just cool with just talking straight to, because I feel like we already got the first.
Y'all gotta go see it. Y'all gotta go see it. Yeah.
So essentially, the first half of the movie is just kind of all that setup. It doesn't really involve vampires at all, but it alludes to a little bit, and then Remic's scene. Eventually, Mary and Stack are making love. They are lovers in the past, but of course Mary's white and Stack is black, and it ain't gonna work out in this life. Sure. And
I'm just stating facts. She passed.
Yeah.
You know.
So, but Mary's already a vampire at this point, and Stack unfortunately gets eaten, pretty much murdered.
Yeah.
And they run up on Mary, pretty much biting his neck off.
Yep.
And they unload on her, and she survives all the bullets.
Oh, that's
and
crazy.
Busts out the door.
Oh
busts
my God,
out the door.
Chris, you going crazy right now.
And what's crazy is Smoke is like in disbelief, because Smoke ain't really like a believer in all the voodoo stuff anyway that Annie's into.
That didn't save their baby. Yep.
Didn't save their kid or anything, and now he just lost the closest person to him. They done been through wars. They done been through gang banging. So pretty much his brother done dead.
Yo, that's crazy.
And now the party's over, and they can't explain what the heck just happened.
Cause she just ran out after getting shot like 8 times. She ran out the building.
Yeah, and
crazy.
Smoke unloaded like 12 shots. Just unloaded. Didn't ask no questions.
What's your gun sound like?
And pretty much right now is where everything they start piecing it together. Don't make sense. She don't die. What's going on? We ain't letting her back in. And they start slowly revealing,
everybody blaming themselves. Sammy blaming himself. It's just like, I should have went in there. He ain't know.
And this is the moment where everyone's starting to realize, these things are vampires.
They something.
What was it? Cornbread accidentally left the door, came back, and he was already turned to a vampire.
Yep.
And he could not walk through.
And then got murked.
So now we're just caught up to everyone knows we're dealing with vampires. The party done over. Everyone done left.
Yeah.
But that ain't even
they done left.
Yeah, Remick then already ate up everybody that ran out after the massacre.
I'm gonna go warm the car up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So they're surrounded by vampires, and so pretty much the movie just goes from 2 different parts of, you know what, we're trying to set up a juke joint for our community, our people have nice life
for us by us.
Yeah, for us by us. And they chop it off and spin it off to also a vampire tale where the vampires are the attackers, instead of what a normal movie would be, which would be like the KKK are just going to come and try to burn down like a black establishment that, black people trying to just have a safe space for them to enjoy themselves at night. And it's just very amazing to have this vampire twist, have this music, the parallels between the
parallels between, come on, bring them back. You about to make a good point. Oh, dang, what's going on? No way. Oh, he's back.
Still. Hey.
We're back. That was the longest freeze of the pod, bro.
Yeah. But Pretty much, I think that's good enough for everyone to understand the movie.
Yeah. We probably said too much. If I'm keeping it a buck.
Definitely. I
started reliving it, bro. I started reliving it. So, but yeah, because that's like, that's one of the things that's like, it's the tricky part about the pod, especially when we're talking movies. It's because you don't want to tell the whole movie. You want people to actually go see it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we want to have a conversation around it. But it's like, there's so many things that happen that you can only say what actually happened to kind of get the point of it. So like one of the things, take for instance, one of the storylines that like, I'm not going to say get lost, because I think for me, once the movie gets to the point where it's like, all right, now it's a vampire movie, that's when everything kind of settles down as far as like, I kind of could see where things are going. We got to make it till dawn. If we don't let them in, then they won't come in. But they're gonna obviously try to trick us and stuff like that, and then eventually, boom, like pandemonium strikes. So like once we got there, I was like, okay, I like what they're doing here. But
it's just kind of like for this movie, you definitely have to tell the tale of both movies, because one is a more generic movie. Then you throw the vampire spin into it, it makes it a totally different movie. But you can kind of understand how the theme of vampires in this type of movie kind of just go hand in hand with everything, you know, music, the South, devils and KKK, freedom, and pretty much what the vampires are offering.
Yeah, because that's what, like, let's stick on a little freedom part real quick, because you know, Smoke and Stack left in search of it, try to go to a bigger city. Obviously, they was in the military first, probably, but you know,
kind of fighting for their freedom,
trying to fight for it, right? Nobody expecting them to do nothing, be nothing, and then they hit a lick, come back. No, nobody's none the wiser. And now it's like, all right, now we can actually do something. And you know, once they get the keys, they're thinking like, all right, you know, don't y'all come back now, you hear? Like that was the energy, like that was given off, where it's like, yeah, if y'all cross this line, it's over with for you. Now that we done paid for it, essentially. And knowing like how history goes, like we know what that really means. So the freedom part within that is like forward facing, but then with the vampires, it's like, oh no, we can all be free if we're together in this community. You never die, we can live forever. And then they play on your weaknesses, essentially, speaking directly between Smoke and Stack, where it's like, nah, like if y'all come with us, then y'all can be together forever and never have to worry about you know, losing each other, right? Let's be smart here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gone. This is Stack talking to Smoke. I'm not gone, I'm right here. And then it actually, you know, you could see Smoke like, he not wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it could be that simple if we really want to make it. And I found myself while I was watching the movie like, yo, why I still got this door open? You know? Like, obviously they can't come in, like, so why y'all even entertaining this conversation? And, you know, I just thought it was interesting, all the different ways that they were trying to get at them, whether it was like through threats of going after loved ones, or if it was like, it's something as simple as pay me what you owe me, because that's who you are, right? You stand up, dude. You know, I did a job. I would like my money. Actually, no, I like your blood. Like, let me get that. You know what I'm saying? like it's like little simple things like
no
that.
Vampires, y'all.
You know,
don't ever trust no vampire. They was like, be careful. I was like, yo, you ain't getting this money. Like, at sunrise. How about that? You get the money at sunrise.
Yeah, bro. And it was like, what's crazy is it seemed like nothing they was doing was working. Like during the fights.
For sure.
Know? Like the garlic worked a little bit. But like in most instances that I've seen of like vampires, like it's like a one hit quitter TKO type of situation. If I hit you with this stake, you're supposed to explode.
Sure. You know? And some some of them. Some of them have to be through the heart and stuff like that.
Yeah. If I hit you with this silver bullet or this silver blade, then you're gonna fry, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's specialties to this. But in this zone, it seemed like, hey, no matter what we do, ain't nothing working except that sunlight. That's the only thing that was really working. So, what did you think of that aspect of it? As like you've seen more vampire stuff than me, but like as far as like
so
them kind of flipping the script a little bit.
My biggest critique of the movie, because I do think the movie does a good job of a lot of like the deep meanings, the storyboards of everything like relating to each other, and a good job of like telling these stories of every character and getting them to their destinations. But my biggest critique of it is really these vampires. Like, I probably would have enjoyed the movie after like Stack gets bit. They just ramp into like a full on like vampire attack, like much quicker. Okay. Like maybe because Stack is inside the house already, like he can invite the vampires in, and then we just go straight to like an onslaught type thing or something. Just something quicker. Because I didn't really enjoy the vampires attempting to like fool them, because like you said, the rule is if you're not invited in, which Annie explains, like they can't enter.
Yeah.
So they could leave the doors wide open. I mean, they literally cannot do nothing to them.
They was out there jamming too.
They was jamming. They was dancing. There's some really cool like lore about because I think vampires originate in like some like Scandinavian countries or Transylvania countries, or like some Baltic countries in Europe. But it's really cool to see like Remick was Irish, and some lore of like Christianity in Ireland, and then Irish people fleeing to America. So it's kind of like seeing that like different cycles of how it led to him being here.
Yeah.
But yeah, the vampires overall, I just wish we didn't have that back and forth where it was like, this is all meaningless, that y'all can't enter. You're attempting to do it, and to me it kind of slows down the movie. And I also don't like how fast these vampires turn. They're more like zombies, and how strong they were. Like,
you think they were strong?
They were quick.
I don't think there was like they didn't give me vampire strength when they was fighting.
Sure. Like, but what I mean, like how fast they were. Yeah. There's no convincing me how many were in the building. Like 5, 6,
maybe
6,
8.
There was 7. No convincing me they would be able to stop a vampire horde. That was not in the realm of even possibility. So I was just kind of like, just knowing the facts now.
Crazy.
What?
Nah, go ahead.
Right. Just knowing the facts that Remick was able to get all the people that went to the juke joint, outside, ready, just waiting, like, yo, we not moving on to the town till we got y'all.
Had to be some anime speed, bro.
Yeah, I was just like, y'all just close the doors and we just wait till sundown. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like what else are you doing?
Yeah. No, I get it.
It was just like the vampire logic I wasn't a big fan of, because they were fast, and the main characters knew how to beat them already. I just didn't get why they were freaking out so much.
Yeah.
And then what bothered me towards the very end was Remick ain't new to this. how did he get defeated by daylight? I just could not even fathom him being defeated by daylight. So
Well,
that was just like,
I
come
thought
on,
it
bro.
was the combination of it being daylight, but first the guitar, because the guitar had that little silver plate
Yeah,
on
the
it.
guitar saved him.
Yeah, but because it was a headshot, you know, they learned from
Yeah, but
Thanos. They learned from Thanos because it was a headshot. Everybody
yeah,
was
no,
like
my thing is
discombobulated.
like he's a old vampire.
Yeah.
There's no way he would like mismanage time at this point. Like just speaking strictly,
Well, he
him
was.
surviving, he knows dawn is coming. Like
Yeah. I mean, he kind of
he's just
mismanaged it
acting
from the
reckless.
beginning.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He's an old vampire, bro. An old vampire ain't
Yeah.
gonna mismanage. We only got a few more hours, y'all. Like this assault ain't gonna have to last long, and they don't have to like defeat them that day.
Today. Yeah.
And,
I hear
and
you.
as we see in the credit scenes, clearly they could have just enacted their plan whenever they wanted. So it was just kind of like,
Mm.
bruh, are y'all serious right now?
I don't
Like,
know. I don't know. I didn't think that much into it. I'm being
yeah,
honest. At that point in the movie, I was more so focused on like, dang, that just happened. You know, because
mm,
a lot went down. Like, the child's going out sad in a burning blaze, bruh. I was just like, man, why would you do that? You know, what about Lisa? You know what I'm saying? And then, what was her name? The singer, Perlene.
mm,
I was like, dang, she didn't make it out either. I'm like, bro, what are we doing?
yeah.
You know, like, I get that it's like a lost cause,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I was more so like, dang, this is how I go. But if she don't go, then Sammy possibly doesn't make it out. But I think for me, once they was saying the Lord's Prayer and it didn't work,
Yeah,
I was like, oh, what's going on?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't know the rules. So I'm just watching. And I'm just like,
Yeah. I just think this is something I give credit to the writers and stuff. Like they do a
yeah.
good job in this movie of kind of like asking the question like
Mm-hmm.
what do you believe like is
Yeah.
saving you? And
They
for Sammy,
challenging the
like,
viewer. Yeah.
yeah, because like for some people in the movie, being a vampire, it was freedom, was being saved from this life, being saved from this world. Some people view
Mm-hmm.
it as religion being their saving like grace, and for Sammy, it was literally the music and him praying to Jesus or God in the last minute, and the devil literally being like, "Yo, I like that song too, bro." Like they sung it to my daddy when they took his land. It brought me some comfort, but it ain't gonna save you today. Like I was like, yo, demons are just wild. Don't be talking to me while. And
Nah,
then
that's
him
a
using his
vampire.
music.
A
Yeah, sure.
vampire, bro.
Vampire devil.
Nah,
Same thing.
see? Nah, I don't know. I don't know. That's where it get tricky right there, because then you get to debating. It's like,
Yeah,
dang.
yeah, but I feel like this movie, it does a good job of having all these types of like deals with the devil, dancing with the devil,
Yeah.
uh
Common
and
tropes that we've all
and
heard.
Remick just being a symbol of like evil,
Mm,
uh and as a vampire, just like spitting off. It's just very creative, very unique and amazing.
yeah.
And like I said, literally probably my only gripe is just how ridiculous the vampires would be acting. But I kind of feel like the vampire thing is just a side thing that make it more unique.
Mm, it's a side thing.
Yeah.
Mm, I gotta think about that. Cause for me, I feel like the title of the movie being Sinners was more so like a look at, because nobody was like perfect in the end. You know, like,
Yeah.
Sammy still couldn't make the quote unquote right choice, right? And he couldn't drop that guitar. He took that guitar with him and left.
I feel like that was the right choice.
I mean, depending on what you think. Nah, I'm saying like see that's where what I'm saying is like if we just looking at like what like essentially Sammy continued to choose sin is like okay secular music over giving his life back to the church, quote unquote church, right? So the way they position it is that the church is bad because all they want to do is play guitar and they're not trying to let him go play guitar. But it's like dad's like there's more that come with it. I'm just trying to protect you from it. But that's not how the dad is positioned to be the bad guy in the beginning. And then once you get there, you're expecting. To me, I was expecting Sammy to just be like, "Yep, you was right." You know?
Really?
Yeah, like that's when my brain was going. I was expecting him like, "Dang, you was right."
Yeah, so
like,
I viewed the last encounter as them pretty much saying like for Sammy, it's the music that saves him, not religion at the end. And Remick was even telling him that like, yo, that like religion is like forced upon you and forced like that's something that was forced on you. You didn't choose this, but you can choose to be a vampire and live like us as a community. But he doesn't do either. He just goes with the music, and then when he goes back to his parents, his dad's like, so you're gonna put the guitar down, and he's like, no, like God didn't save me, or religion didn't save me. Yeah, but that's like that's what I'm saying.
That's what you got from it. That's cool. If that's what you got from it, that's cool.
And that's why when the two vampires they live forever, they live in a world where literally they cannot be together, and all they care about is being together. Mm-hmm. So being a vampire for them is literally like saving them. But for Stack or Smoke, like pretty much his family is done gone into heaven. Mm-hmm. Like him being a vampire ain't gonna help him, but getting to heaven is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like all these storylines. They have different versions of like what is like saving important them in a way.
That's a reach. I get it. I get what you're saying. I get you saying, but like that's just not what I got from it. I got like because like they all like to me like the symbolism in it being called sinners is more so like when you choose culture over Christ, essentially. And not all the people chose it, but like that's the beauty of the last scene in the church is that like God gave us free will for a reason. Mm-hmm. So you have to choose. You have to make that choice. And when Sammy couldn't put the guitar down, he made his choice. You know? Mm-hmm. And he chose to continue with culture and be a guitarist. Right? Now, that doesn't mean that his like choice in the view of the vampires was wrong. Because it's like at the when you see the end credits or whatever, it shows like, yeah, man, I'm good. I don't want to live. I've seen enough of this place, right? Yeah. Like because they have that moment. Who knows what Sammy's life would have been like if he had stayed, right? We don't know if that means it was gonna be bad or if it was he could still, like times would have changed. But it's like I think the symbolism in the name is more so like not a vindication of like you made the right or wrong choice. It's just like we all see what y'all thing is,
Sure. Yeah, but I was just saying that last meaning of him not staying and being a preacher boy or turning to religion, him going out and being a musician And even at the end credit scene of him like singing in the house of the Lord, like this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, is like more of him saying like music is what saved me, and I'm gonna take my music and spread it out throughout the world. I'm not gonna keep it here in Louisiana and do what like my dad is forcing upon me. I'm gonna take what the Lord's given me and play music. And that's why when he versed the vampire at the end, even when he prays, it doesn't say, it's not helping him there. And even the vampire tells him like, bro, that song ain't gonna do nothing here. But when he got his music, boom, it saved him. And then when his dad's like, oh, now you can just drop that guitar, he's like gripping it, and he's like, I'm not dropping this. Like,
I get that.
This is it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get the choice. I'm just saying that I think that's the point in the movie where it's like up to, like, I don't think there's technically a right answer. I think it's like what you take away from it and what stands out more to you versus me and everybody else. And like, that's why it's like, that's the perspective. It's not so much like I'm right, you're wrong. It's more so like, that's what you got and this is what I got type of situation. So,
but you think Sammy made the wrong choice?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the fact that he made the choice is the point of the movie.
Sure.
Like, that's like, I'm not here to judge Sammy. I don't know what he did after this. He could have still been saved and did everything, but that's what he did on, Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday. I don't know. I'm just saying him leaving was like, none of us perfect. Like, I just can't quit it. Like, I just can't do it. Like, but to say that, like, to me, the leap is when is at that part where it's like, even because like, just as much you can make the argument that the music saved his life instead of the religion, I could say that God gave him the idea to use that guitar and hit him upside the head. He didn't know that it was going to work. He didn't know that the thing was going to work.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
if he would have known that, he would have used that guitar anyway.
And his dad's telling him to let it go. For Sammy, he's the symbolism of the guitar is like, this is what saved me. Like, you're telling me to abandon the thing that saved me, the thing that I love, and I'm not, like, his decision is I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Like, that was still like,
his
dad was just like,
we there on that part. We're there on that part. I get that.
So I wouldn't say that's the idea of God saying like, yo, swing that thing. No, swing, Sammy, swing. Like that.
No, I'm just saying that, using that as an example of like how we can see the same thing and get two different things from it. Yeah. Where it's like you're seeing it as more so like, in that moment, it's like, boom, he decided, like, this is it. Where I'm just saying, like, this is my last rule. I'm finna hit him upside the head with this. Oh, it worked. Like, where it's like it's like you're drawing a hard line. You're drawing a hard line, and I'm like, nah.
With the dad, like, he just had that encounter, and he comes to his dad, and his dad doesn't know anything about that.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. He's taking all that experience, and his dad's saying like, just the normal, like, hey, you're gonna put that music down, blah blah blah. It's bad for you, kind of like his initial talk. And the symbolism of the first scene and then the last scene it's two different contexts because we know what he just went through, and then right after that we see that he goes on the road and continues to be a musician. But the whole point of him asking him like, put down the guitar.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the different symbolism that I'm referring to. Not like, pretty much like, why is Sammy so attached to like holding on to the guitar? Because it's like, it's holding on to like who he wants to be. And his dad's pretty much trying to force something else on him, like, let that go. And he's like, no, this is like me. You're telling me to like abandon myself,
I get it. I get that part. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I just think it's interesting how we saw that specific scene.
Yeah, definitely. I'm like,
no, because it's like the like. I think to me the more important thing was not. I think it was just crazy in the moment. Just that's the because I don't know that to be the thing that works in vampire things. I'm just like, oh, he's saying that, and it's like because he know what's up. Like it's like, dang, that's why I say right before I die. Not that, oh, I say this and it's finna kill him or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But for you, is like, I'm not gonna try to say what you were saying again for the third time because we obviously agree in what the ending means. But I think it was more interesting hearing like because of the Irish side and like the links between that and Christianity and like how it's like where black people and Irish people have like the they was in the mines. Forgot what they was doing. They had them doing something. I forgot. I'm not no history buff, but essentially sharing some of the not the same struggles, but like enough
similar struggles.
Yeah,
because
to where it's like
they had like Christianity pushed on them, and then essentially black
right.
people got you had Christianity forced on them, and misconstrued to get them to do stuff. So
right,
it's kind of like from Remic's side, he can kind of relate to.
He done seen this movie before. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he done seen. That's why he's kind of like antagonize him at the end, like
and that's
bro,
why
I heard that same song, like that ain't saving you tonight, like
right. And I think that's more to like the writing side of it. It's like where I feel like one of the reasons why I like this movie so much is because they don't leave any stone unturned. Like every moment has its climax and its conclusion, and it's like you can just take what you take from it and then do what you will with it. But it's like for me to think that once he got to the church and for him to say like, nah, I'm keeping the thing, because that's not what I was expecting him to do. I'm not making a judgment of that being the wrong decision or the right decision. I'm making the connection like, oh, that was powerful thing to put in a movie, because usually how it would go was like, oh yeah, I messed up, I'm back now.
Like, yo, Dad, I just fought some demons. I'm preacher boy for sure. Like,
right?
Yo, because put me in the water today.
Yeah, because they didn't offer no explanation. No explanation was needed in that moment. Like you got one outburst and that was it. And it was more so like it don't even matter what you got because it's here. It's we're gonna accept you regardless. Like all you gotta do is this. All you gotta do is that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a simple choice, but that choice is the whole point of what makes it sinners, because everybody's sinners. Everybody's sin. You know what I'm saying? And then to get the fast forward into the future of him still playing, you know what I'm saying, and smoking or stacking Mary pull up in the 90s gear. And I was
still
just
alive.
Big that's twist. Just crazy. Like, what are y'all doing now? You know what I'm saying? like, what do you do at this point? So yeah, man. Is there anything else that we could talk about before we get up out of here? I still don't think
literally that smoke let Stack live. Even though in their final battle, even though he was a vampire, it's his brother, and he didn't murder his brother at the very end, and allows him and Mary to pretty much run off and continue living life as vampires. I mean, that was pretty.
Only thing that I have a question about that moment is like, are vampires just not allowed to lie or something? Or like once they make a promise, like they can't break it? Because it was Remy's obsession with Sammy that was keeping him there. Once that's gone, then they can do whatever they want, right?
We don't really know the extent to it because some vampire stuff, like they kind of have dominion over them.
Yeah.
But the only thing we know like on this one is like they had all their memories, so they knew everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of like a hive mind-ish thing. But I know Remick wanted Sammy to kind of use his
Ability.
music abilities to kind of,
Bring
you
people
know,
together.
which is just like a normal theme of people saying like
Mm-hmm.
modern day music is like the devil's music, and it's just like the devil just slowly getting you.
That's why
So
Smile chose Naomi Scott, or what, Sky? What's her name in that joint? And Smile too.
oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, got the whole stadium.
But it's kind of hard because in this vampire lore, that's what I said. The vampire logic in this one is a little strange because you're bringing up good questions. We don't even know how vampires survive in this universe. Like, have they been sucking on blood?
Yeah.
Like this whole time. And like I said, like a promise.
Yeah.
If he promised his brother that, like, does he have to keep it because it's like a human?
Right.
And sometimes if you kill the main vampire, like all the other offspring vampires die. Like that's not a thing in this one either.
Or they turn back, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So all we know is pretty much they dead.
Yeah. All we know is we don't know.
Yeah. They're vampires, they're dead. And I think that's where it's kind of like, I kind of feel like Sinners could have just went a little bit darker, more gruesome towards the end.
Yeah.
And just, we just murder the vampires completely, stake them, and don't have no more questions. But then have the reveal like those two are still alive. And they're not like hostile vampires. They just are more like the Blade ones where they just live underground, they drink some normal blood, and they just say bye to Sammy before he dies. And just let him know that, yo, we gonna offer you this extension,
smelled it on
bro.
him though. That's what's crazy too. He was like, yeah, you about to be cooked, basically.
That was hilarious. I was like, yo,
dang.
I didn't know vampires could do that. Maybe I missed something, but just a smell and then, oh yeah, you got a month, bro. Like, you sure? Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Because they was still young. Like,
yeah, they didn't age.
Age a day.
Yeah,
and
which makes sense to me.
Through it. Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on when you turn. But I think, like you were saying, like the vampire aspect of it is more of a twist than anything else.
Make it fresh.
Yeah. And I think for me, I feel like this movie was more about like executing the ideas of what they wanted to get across from the characters than making the next great vampire flick. Like, it's not Dracula or what's that movie you saw? Nosferatu. Yeah. Like, this is not that type of situation. I think it's more about just like a love for the craft of making something like this. Because to me, it's like when you look at Ryan Coogler's like filmography, it's so different, except everything black. Like that is like the culture aspect of it is still so prevalent and at the core that it's like very inspiring, and I feel like that's why it has so much energy coming off just one weekend, and it's like, yo, I'm not sure what the Academy finna do, but I think right now it's time to just go ahead and get into what we gonna give it on the scores. So I'm gonna give it a 10. Best movie I seen this year. Best movie I seen this year, bro. I ain't gonna cap. Like, I'm ready to go see it again. What do you think?
I'm giving it a 9. I'm giving it a 9. I also want to shout out Haley Steinfeld, Alan. We don't know her actual name yet. I thought her acting in this movie like just jumped her up a few notches as like a actress.
Yeah.
And I'll also give that credit to Michael B. Jordan, because sometimes I feel like Michael B. Jordan kind of falls back on his like tried and true acting abilities. But this time around, I definitely felt like this man's stepping up his game.
Nah, they was acting in this joint for sure.
Yeah, they for sure 10 out of 10. And then overall, I do think this is one of the most creative movies I've ever seen. To take back a fresh, unique story in the Jim Crow era about two gangsters trying to make something in the community, Black
twins.
community. Yeah, the twin aspect.
Yeah, everybody know a twin.
The Louisiana culture with the root magic, the vampires.
A lot.
The ideas of the KKK in America, the ideas of
how they get down.
Stealing cultures, that like because Remick technically is trying to steal Sam's, ability. And it's like, yo, I like that, young
vulture.
buck. Yeah, I like that music. I'ma take it. Come be a vampire. Like it just has a lot going for it. And I definitely think you can. I am definitely one that's gonna find a breakdown of this because there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
It's
and
more
that
than
dance
we can
scene
cover in a year. I said a year
for sure.
In an hour and some change.
Yeah. And that dance scene that we didn't really talk about, of them just being free for a day. That's kind of what they said at the end.
Yeah.
Of them just dancing, partying, and then you
everybody
see
all
like
together.
People from the past and future all merging on that floor.
Mm-hmm.
That was just an amazing shot, a very unique one, and just very symbolic of like how powerful music can be. So
it reminded
I'm gonna
me
give it a
of,
9. Just need better vampires.
It reminded me of when I was watching, not the scene specifically, but the feeling I got when I was watching John Wick 4 when they was doing the over.
Really?
Like the over.
I can kind of see
shot of it because it was like a free floating camera.
Yeah.
And it felt like we were just like floating in the movie as we were going all around the juke joint and to inevitably go up top to where it burned down and everybody was there together and it's like boom, vampire.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's an underrated, funny movie too. I think this song was hilarious. But yeah, there's still like so much more that we could say. You could probably do a breakdown on every single character and still have so much. That's why I was like, bro, I was going way too far into like what was actually happening in the movie.
I mean, I had a whole bunch of questions, but it's cool. Like I definitely thought this was a complicated movie to.
Just give me one more question, bro. Give me one more question just to see what you had. Like, what were some of the questions you had? Maybe we can run them off real quick before we get out of here.
I mean, you kind of went through some of it, like the title of Sinners. Do you think it referred more to the vampires or more to the humans? Like that was a question I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I think it referred more to the humans than the vampires. Yeah, because it was more so about the choices that they made and the decisions that they, made to be in that specific house at night.
Yeah,
at the juke joint. Multiple.
But do you think like
women.
Individual the characters, they had some type of like key sin that was like highlighted in the movie that kind of represented like why they're like sinners?
Yeah, for sure.
And then another big one, at least the two I wanted to get through, was the desire to make vampires. Do you think that was actually like really good intention, or it's just he's a vampire, like kind of like it's an evil being just pretending to be like, yo, we're gonna make a good, like I don't know how to word it, but essentially was the vampire's side at all convincing of it, if it actually trying to be like a utopia of, yo, I'm just freeing y'all, I've been through this, and they were just getting chased out by the Native Americans now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I know they're being vampires, but like, is there actual good intent behind that at all?
Yeah, I don't know about that part, but I think I like the idea that Remick is just a really bad vampire, like something like because the way we get introduced to him was him on the run already, so something already had to happen.
Yeah.
To get us here, and I'm curious to what that would have been because of what you were saying, where it's like he's an old vampire, but this is also an old movie. So how far are we really going back?
Yeah.
If he's even in America.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like I said, he's Irish in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And he's running away. So it's just kind of like,
yeah,
this dude ain't just pop up like yesterday for being a legit vampire because he's the one with the red eyes. And it does make me wonder, like, did he already have a community and that one done got driven out by it?
Yeah, like he's running from it, what's the closest place he can get? Louisiana.
Then doing it all over again.
And then trying to do it all over again, run into the Native Americans.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't
so it's kind of
like
is it actually, because they kind of reveal like they know each other's thoughts and stuff like that, and we can live forever and we keep spreading this, but it's like, is he actually good intention and he's just a vampire? Like, I gotta bite you to, you know.
Nah, that was just manipulation.
I'm not trying to kill y'all. I'm just
trying to
bite y'all. Yeah.
Nah. I think he was just a bad vampire. Bad at being a vampire.
Yeah, my only thing is like, bro, come on, you're a vampire. You know the sun gonna come up.
Yeah.
Like, and I kind of wondered if the sun was gonna be the thing to defeat him, just because we saw him like the sun was out. It was like dusk. Yeah. And he was burning. So I was just like, bro, you like in the middle of nowhere. Like, how are you even out and about?
Yeah.
And
why are you not flying? You could fly all the time. Why
and sometimes like original vampires have more power. So I was like, okay, maybe it takes him longer. So I just thought
he needs a certain amount of blood.
Yeah, like he had to
use all the power
and then sunlight, you know, like multiple things to kill out.
There was boxing in that joint too. I think that's we didn't really talk about that. There was really fighting in that joint when it came down to it.
And that's why I think just a hard cut to action towards the vampire reveal, in my opinion, would have been better. But I still think the movie's a 9 out of 10. I think it's really good, and you got to go see it. I definitely think you have to see it before any movie that comes out in the summertime.
W. Let us know what y'all think. You had no more questions, right? That was it. That was the main.
Nah, we're good, bro. Okay. There's all like I said, I had a lot of like deep things because I was pretty perplexed on like, what is he trying to say?
Yeah, I gotta do my research now. I gotta watch every Ryan Coogler interview.
Yeah, I need to know, are vampires somehow related to Ireland? Because I'd never heard that ever. But they was dancing. He was hitting everything. I was like, what? I was like, I do not know about no Irish vampires unless I missed something.
I'm waiting for the go-go edit. That's what I'm waiting for. When the go-go edit come out, that's like gonna go crazy. But let us know what y'all thought of Sinners in the comments, and what would you rate it? What would you score it? And hit that like button, subscribe button for more. We'll see y'all next week. Stay geeked. Peace.
There you go.